Welcome, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. It is, of course, January 6th, 2025, 4 years to the day since those horrible Trump-inspired riots in Washington, D.C. We'll be watching what happens today, but presumably not the same thing. But I don't think there is any less surprising headline I could give you on such an anniversary than telling you that, yes, we have now confirmed that it was a MAGA who blew up the Tesla Cybertruck in the driveway of Donald Trump's Las Vegas hotel. Is anyone shocked? More violent events carried out by right-wingers. Now, it may be a disaffected MAGA, but it's a MAGA nonetheless. Leivelsberger was a known Trump supporter and intended to vote for Trump in the 2024 election, from what we know from what was written prior to November. A critic of the Democratic Party and members of the Democratic Party who urged military personnel and veterans to get them out of the federal government and military, just like Donald Trump and many of the people around him wanted to do. First, maybe through peaceful means, but suggesting violence if necessary. He expressed disdain for Kamala Harris, saying that she was a DEI candidate. Who else was saying that? And celebrated the election of a real president in Donald Trump. This is who stuffed the Tesla Cybertruck to the gills with fireworks. He denounced diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the U.S. and advocated for uniting around figures like Donald Trump and RFK Jr. and others to promote a sort of national hegemony. He urged a return to the strength and masculinity of the sort of alpha male prototype as a guiding principle for the nation, and accused American leaders of being weak and feckless and serving only to enrich themselves. Now, the enrich themselves is an interesting little populist fork in the road, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, actually in the context of many of you writing in, wanting me to weigh in a little more substantively on what's going on with Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, who, by the way, is going to be on the show later this week. So we'll get back to the rich guys who want to enrich themselves aspect of this. Now, was there a potential mental illness component to the Cybertruck bomber? Maybe. He claimed he was under surveillance by American intelligence agencies because of his knowledge of advanced military technology and war crimes and covert operations. There are some people taking that seriously, others who hear it and say, this sounds like somebody who may be mentally ill. Now, I know that whenever something like this happens, some people react by saying, obviously he's mentally ill. No stable and sane person would ever do something like what this guy did. Okay, I think when we explore these incidents in this way, I think we mean something a little more specific by mental illness, which is did not understand what he was doing was wrong, illegal, etc. He denied that the bombing of the Cybertruck and Trump's hotel was a terrorist act, framing it as a wake-up call to a collapsing United States. Now, I think it's important to contextualize this with the reality that most politically inspired violence in the United States is right-wing. This doesn't mean that we ignore left-wing violence. It doesn't mean that we advocate for violence. It's just reality. When you look in the United States at politically motivated violence, it's overwhelmingly right-wing. On Fox News, the rare lone voice of reason, Jessica Tarlov, brought this up. And her colleagues on Fox News's The Five, not exactly thrilled with it. Take a listen.
But the reason that President Biden and the administration and Christopher Wray, who was a Trump appointee, have been talking about the threat of right-wingers and far right-wing supremacy, whatever you want to call it, is because that's what the numbers bear out. And we put up all those numbers about how many people had been killed by jihadists. but it's not as many as those who have been killed by white supremacists. So the New America Foundation has done a breakdown in terrorist attacks since 9/11. It goes through 2023. We have to add the 2024 numbers once they're available, but you have 134 killed by far right wingers, 107 killed by jihadists, 17 killed by misogynists or incels, 13 killed by black separatists or nationalists, and 1 killed by
killed by gang members.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be on the list.
Okay,
That's a
how many
phenomenal
by
number.
illegals? You know, let's add to the list.
Those are
I wonder how many of
listen,
those killed by white supremacists were killed in prison.
Yeah.
I love this
by
game.
suicide. I mean, because oftentimes they.
How many people fell off an ice cream truck? I
You brought
don't know.
You brought the numbers up.
But
I mean, you're
there-
countering the numbers that are very obvious.
No, well, we're not.
From
First
terrorist
of all,
attacks.
Yes, they have their definition of a terrorist attack. They have the ideologies behind these terror attacks. I am not here to minimize any. You do know? Great. We'll tell the rest of the
I don't
table.
think you're minimizing it, but
I'm
I
just
don't
saying
think
that the
it
numbers don't. But
I
it
don't
does.
think the argument holds.
Okay, then you should speak to the New America Foundation.
I don't think the numbers are accurate.
Well, what
because
numbers do you
first
have
of all,
in Canada?
you're talking about post 9/11.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
what do you
numbers
wanna
that
talk
we
about? You
have
wanna go back
is,
to World
first
War
of all, no, is 2015 in terms of ISIS. These are the only numbers that we have collected. You want to go?
This is one of the things I mean, listen, the playbook when confronted with this reality is the same. It's either say that the numbers are off, or say that you're measuring the numbers from the wrong time, or say that you believe the numbers contain subterfuge or deception. It's sort of the same thing as when we present them with the data about stock market performance under Democratic versus Republican presidents. And they say, oh, no, you're measuring it wrong, or to really measure it correctly, you need to allow a 6-month transitional period where the first 6 months of a president is actually the responsibility of the previous president. They try to massage the numbers in their favor. I think there's one other really important thing to talk about here when we look at these numbers of politically inspired violence. The right thinks that it's a gotcha to say that the jihadist inspired acts of violence are left-wing. But I hate to break it to you, there is nothing left-wing about saying, I am going to take the religious teachings of my faith and use them to justify violence, in part because there are people who don't believe in my religion. That is fundamentally right-wing. And so I know that we look at these numbers a couple of different ways. In my view, of course, jihadist-inspired violence goes on the right, much the same that hardcore white nationalist Christianity violence goes on the right. All of that sort of violence is fundamentally right-wing. But even if you don't do that, the numbers are still extraordinarily skewed towards the right. So bottom line, we figured it out. The Trump Cybertruck Tesla bomber, a right-winger, a MAGA. Let's now see how they run cover for the guy. Starting an online business has really never been easier. With no upfront costs, minimal investment, and manageable time commitment, it is an ideal side hustle that can scale. Whether you're supplementing income or trying to transition to full-time entrepreneurship, an online business can give you flexibility and growth potential. And our sponsor, Build Your Store AI, makes it super easy and super quick. Build Your Store uses AI to create your website in minutes with a super simple, intuitive process guiding you every step of the way. Build Your Store can even provide ready-to-sell products so you can start selling right away. Just register and choose your niche and then set up your Shopify. Then you can register for AutoDS to streamline your product sourcing and order fulfillment, which will integrate seamlessly with your Shopify. And boom, you've launched a store. In minutes, you can create and launch a fully functional online store with no upfront cost. With BYS AI and AutoDS, it's a streamlined process, efficient, sets you up for success. Start your e-commerce journey today. Watch your side hustle grow into a thriving business. To get started, go to buildyourstore.ai/Pacman. The link is in the description.